Hello everybody, this is me, Gabriel, and welcome to my lab. In this video, I want to talk about Hackintoshes in 2025. Are they still worth it? Should you still do Hackintoshes? Well, let's go back to normal so I can start the video. Yeah, sorry for the little joke here at the beginning. Some of you may get the reference, but yeah. So let's get this started. So for those of you who are initiated on this topic, what are Hackintoshes? So Hackintosh is when you install macOS, which is the operating system for Mac, on a computer that is not a Mac. In this case, it's my computer that I manually built it myself with parts that I actually bought from AliExpress. I will go through the specs in a moment. To begin with, why did I do a Hackintosh if I can just buy a Mac in 2025? The reason for that is because Macs are still really expensive here. Unless you go for a really old Mac, such as this one that I recently got, which is the MacBook Air from 2017. It's got a dual-core i5, and I was like, oh, it's a dual-core, it should be really slow, but it actually is as responsive as I wanted it to be. Like, I had very low expectations for it, and I got it for like literally $86 off of eBay. So it's not like I spent a lot of money on it. But again, like if you want to step up the game and go for a M1 or M2 Max here, they will get really expensive. And for the price that I built this PC, like I'm gonna show the specs right now, it's kind of crazy, man. So you can see here that I am pretending to have a iMac Pro from 2017, but this is not true, like, at all. This is just a this is like I could literally put anything here. I could say that this is an Apple Watch and it would believe me, just because like on Hackintoshes you can customize anything you want. You can see here that I have an Intel Xeon processor. Well, you know what? Let me actually open the terminal, which my keyboard is sideways, so it's gonna get kind of complicated. Do I have Fast Fetch installed here? Well, I do have it. Nice. Yeah, so let me expand this here real quick so you guys can actually see my specs. So you can see that I have a Intel Xeon E5 2667 V4, which has 8 cores and 16 threads, and the base clock for them are 3.2 gigahertz, and they go actually up to 3.6 on each core, and that's kind of insane, man. Like, back in the day, for like, this would be the configuration for the top level Mac Pro. I don't even think you could get this processor on a Mac, like this specific processor. I'm not sure if they actually had this one, but I know that like this processor for the time, I think it launched in 2016 or 2017. It was crazy, man. Like, even today, I can literally run like 20-25 games on this. I ran Stalker 2 on this computer, not with this GPU, but I will talk about that later. But yeah, but this processor is crazy. And again, like 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's currently using almost 8 gigabytes because macOS just uses a lot of RAM for some reason. It's not actually using that, it's just like a lot of things on cache. So I've observed this in the past. But yeah, again, like terabytes of space here. Yeah, that's my local IP for you guys if you want to hack me. But yeah, what else yeah, so you can see here that the GPU is now an RX 5700 XT. And if you guys are old in the channel, you know that I previously had a RX 6750 XT, and now I have this one. So why did I make the change? I actually used to have that GPU, but for it to work on macOS, I had to depend on a driver called Newt RX, which was really good. It was really performant. Like, I could not complain about anything. But recently, like last year, they introduced a new firmware for the driver that made it, like, the performance was just, I don't know exactly what happened. At first I thought that there was something wrong with my PC, that I don't know, like that the processor wasn't good or something like that. But it turns out that it was just a bug on the driver, and what you could do is to use an older version of it, which was from 2023, which did not have this bug. It had an older firmware. But again, like I was just getting kind of like, I don't know, I'm gonna constantly be depending on this thing here, and I was just I don't know. And also DRM never worked on that driver. Like, it's not supposed to work. There are other field limitations with that, But with the RX 5700 XT, which I have now, I literally have like 99% of the features that a real Mac would have. Well, actually, on the GPU side, I just have literally 100% feature parity with a Mac. Like, the only things that I don't have in my Mac, on my Hackintosh, are Bluetooth, AirDrop, and that kind of thing. And it's not because I can't, it's just that I don't want that. Like, I literally don't care about AirDrop and that kind of thing. I have an Android phone. I have a Xiaomi phone, so, like, I don't use iMessage. I don't use AirDrop, so I literally just use this. And let me tell you what, it's amazing. Like, Hackintoshes are so great still in 2025. I would not advise you to actually go and make a build like just for a Hackintosh. And if you do that, which was in my case, like I literally built this PC just to be my Hackintosh and also like do a few other things that you can only do on a computer, because I was just having my laptop. My gaming laptop is a Lenovo Legion Slim 5. If you're gonna go ahead and build yourself a Hackintosh, I would say go for a cheap one. In my case, this whole crazy configuration of Xeon processors, RAM memories, and motherboard, I bought it all from AliExpress, and it was so cheap. Like, it was ridiculously cheap. This processor cost me, I think that it cost me like $25 or less. Like, it's just crazy, man. This motherboard cost me like $60 or something like that, or even less. I don't even remember from the top of my head right now, but it was just so cheap, and I could get this awesome macOS experience. Like, this is seriously so fluid. Like, it is, of course, that is much more powerful than the MacBook Air that I got recently, but it's so fluid and it's so perfect, and it literally works with everything that you would expect a real Mac to support, to work with. And I am literally working daily on this computer, and the fact that I spent so little money on it and I get basically the same experience as I would get on a real Mac, which, by the way, I used to have a Mac Mini M2, and I sold that Mac because I was like, I don't care about Apple anymore. And I regret doing that because I actually got that Mac for a real good price. But now I cannot find one that has 16 gigabytes of RAM that has a decent price. It's either 8 gigabytes and has a reasonable price, or it's like 16 gigabytes and it's just like the price is just ridiculous. So I'm gonna wait until, I don't know, like the price goes down by a lot, like when M5 comes out and it's just so cheap that like M1 and M2 will be basically like almost at the end of life, and I'll be like, okay, it's my time now. So yeah, talking about end of life here, so a lot of people in the Hackintosh community are very upset that Apple will probably drop support for Intel on either Sequoia, which is the current version, or in the next version. I would guess it's like the next version will probably be the last, and they'll very explicitly say that, well, this is the last version that we will support for Intel. And the reason why I think that is because they actually released the last Mac Pro, like the last Intel Mac Pro in 2020, which had a very powerful configuration, like an Intel processor. I don't know, I think it was 9.9 or something. I am pretty sure that that computer is still gonna get Intel support, because it, like, this year will complete 6 years, which is usually the amount of time that Apple supports their computers if you go back and look at it. So yeah, I think that we're still gonna get another version of Intel supported macOS, but even if we don't get one, like, I wouldn't even say that it's a problem, because Sequoia released in 2024 and we get 3 years of software support, so that takes us to 2027. And like, in 2027, I'm pretty sure that Mac Minis, like the M1 Mac Minis, will be so cheap that it'll be basically the same price that I paid for this computer here. So like, at that point, I'll definitely just go for an M1, and hopefully someone will have figured out how to like solder more RAM into Mac Minis, into these ARM-based Mac Minis. I know that some people already have ways to do that with SSDs, which up until very recently wasn't possible, so now it's possible. So hey, my be the same with RAM. I think it's actually kind of more difficult because RAM on the ARM devices are actually very intricate and they have some more details. I don't know exactly how they work. I know that they're like a little bit different. Anyways, it's not the point of this video. I am just saying that right now a Hackintosh is still a really good deal if you really like macOS. And the reason why I really like macOS is actually because I really like Linux. I love Linux. I love the desktop environments that I get on Linux. I am developing a big hate for Windows because, like, seriously, I was the type of guy who would advocate for Windows. My entire life I've used Windows. I don't know exactly what happened in the last year and a half. Heck, I don't know, like 2 years at this point. I don't understand what's happening. Like, I'm literally just having problems on Windows daily. Like, literally, it has gotten to a point that I cannot open anything on Windows without having a weird glitch. And I know that some of these problems are related to the AMD drivers on Windows, that they have some weird glitches that you have to disable, like multi-pane overlay. I tried like a bunch of different things, but now my laptop is having another problem, which is like every 20 minutes or so, it just gets disconnected from the internet, like at all, for 10 seconds and then comes back. And that's like a perfect loop. I tried so many different things, and I have to work with that laptop when I'm not home, because I go places sometimes and I have to work from there. So like every 20 or so minutes, doesn't matter if I was in the middle of a meeting, doesn't matter anything, like it would just disconnect. And I know that this is a Windows problem because when I installed Ubuntu on it, it just went away magically. It does not happen anymore. And like, bro, what? But the problem is that Ubuntu on that laptop has another entire set of issues because that laptop has a discrete NVIDIA graphics card, and that graphics card has so many problems when I'm running Ubuntu. Like, it just drains my battery. It doesn't matter if I'm on hybrid mode. It doesn't matter anything. Like, my battery just disappears. And for some reason, when I connect that laptop to an external monitor, man, I tried everything. I tried custom drivers. I tried like many kernel, like little flags and that kind of thing. I don't understand exactly where the problem lies. I think it's on the NVIDIA driver. I know that NVIDIA on Linux sucks. Everybody knows about this. But like when I'm connected to an external monitor on that laptop, when I'm running Ubuntu, the external monitor is so laggy that it's almost impossible to use. And the only way to make it not be laggy is to use X11. But when you use X11, there's another issue that the second monitor will freeze anytime you use an app that's using the NVIDIA GPUs. So would you rather have the external monitor be laggy as heck, or would you like it to freeze anytime you use your GPU? Like, man, I love Linux. I love it so much, but these issues, man, and the fact that Google Chrome still in 2025 does not have hardware accelerated video decoding by default is crazy. What's going on with Chrome? Like, seriously, I think that this is supported on Mac and on Windows since like 2009 or something. This is crazy. Like, this is utterly unacceptable. You can get this to work on Linux, but every 6 months or so, like the flags that you use for Chrome to have hardware accelerated video decoding on Linux, like they change and you have to do your own research on how to make this work. It's not good. Like, the user experience lacks in a lot of areas. And don't get me wrong, I really, really love Linux. Like, I would seriously be the day that they can hammer out these issues. I know that it's not Linux fault, you know, it's actually the Chromium developers, which like they need to get this sorted out. And again, it's like NVIDIA's fault and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, my experience as an end user will be affected by these little details. So the reason why I really like macOS is because I can get a Unix-like terminal, but without all of the desktop bugs that come with using Linux. And again, don't get me wrong. You don't need to get stressed out in the comments and say like, "Oh no, you're wrong because there's this and that." No, I am a Linux user. You can watch my channel. You would see that I use it for a long time. I love Linux. I'm not saying that. Okay, no need to rage in the comments. Not needed here. I love Linux. I want it to succeed at all costs. But right now, I need something that works for certain workflows, such as like when I'm out of my home and I need to work, so my battery cannot drain and that kind of thing. And that's actually one of the reasons that I got this MacBook Air, because even though it's not actually powerful and I can't do like much advanced stuff with it, the battery here is crazy. And like initially I thought, wow, this is a dual core i5, so it must be trash. But actually, when you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because it's a dual core, the power consumption must be really low. And that's true. Like, the power consumption on this MacBook Air here is just crazy. Like, I can use this and I'll almost forget that it's not connected to a power outlet. It's crazy, man. Like, how do they make this? It's by literally making their processor so weak that they literally can make this thing run for hours. Meanwhile, on the Lenovo Legion, which is a gaming laptop, and of course it's not meant to be used outside of a power plug, it dies within an hour. Like when I'm on Windows, and if I'm on Ubuntu, it just dies like in 20 minutes or so. Okay, I'm exaggerating. More like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And I also exaggerated a bit on Windows. It's like 2 hours, I would say. Yeah, but not enough to work on it. And that takes us to macOS. So currently macOS can let me have my workflows. It's really good for programming. I can use any tools that I would use on a Unix terminal. I don't have to use PowerShell, man. That like PowerShell, I'm sorry PowerShell fans, but like Unix terminals are Unix-like terminals, okay? They're so much better. What can I say? It's just much better in every way possible. I can get like every programming little tool that I can think of. I can use brew, which is like apt and dnf here. I can just come here and say brew install the software and it will install it for me. It's very handy for these little things. But the main difference from Linux to me is content creation here in macOS. It's just amazing. Like every single industry standard software works on it, runs on it. I can get Adobe software even though I'm not an Adobe user and Adobe FU. But like if I needed to use that because of reasons, I could use that. I'm actually a DaVinci Resolve user. I added my videos on the free version. It works on Linux, but again, it has that problem where it does not support H.264 videos, so you have to either get the pro version, which I don't have, or you have to convert them. And then like it just starts getting kind of, after you convert that, so many times I have converted videos, but I forgot to convert the audio, and the audio will be in the AAC format, and DaVinci Resolve does not work with AAC on Linux, if I recall correctly, even in the paid version. And so many people actually say that on AMD you get a better experience on Linux, but not for DaVinci Resolve, because even in the paid version you don't get hardware accelerated decoding. And don't tell me in the comments that you have that, because if you actually look at this document for the support for Windows, macOS, and Linux, you'll see that only NVIDIA GPUs have hardware accelerated video decoding on DaVinci Resolve on the Pro version on Linux, and you don't get that on AMD. So like, well, if you have a strong enough processor, that's not going to be a problem, but if you're working with 4K footage and that kind of thing, it will stutter if you're not using that hardware accelerated decoding. So yeah, that makes a huge difference. And also encoding, by the way, like it only works on NVIDIA if you're using Linux. Yeah, DaVinci Resolve, even the free version on macOS uses Metal, which also has the video encoding and decoding engine, which is used on both the free and non-free versions. So that's really cool. Like I can edit my videos and they'll be very quick to like jump in the timeline. It seriously makes a huge difference when you're editing long videos that have a lot of like different layered videos on it. I know that right now I'm not producing many well-made videos, but I used to edit short films, and like when you actually have that acceleration on the timeline, it makes a huge difference. So yeah, guys, I think that I talked a lot here. In the future, what's gonna happen? I will probably just use only Linux on this computer, and hopefully, if by then things are sorted out, I'll also use only Linux on my Lenovo laptop, and I'll probably have to, unfortunately, well, not really unfortunately, but like that's good and bad, right? I'll have to start buying Macs. So yeah, this was my first MacBook that I bought. I actually really liked it, man. Like seriously, it's so crazy how you can open it and close it, and it will be like just immediately open. That was insane for me because on Windows and even on Ubuntu, I think on Ubuntu is actually a bit faster, but like on Windows, when you open the laptop, it just thinks and thinks and thinks and thinks, and then boom, pops. But like, this is insane, man. Like I can open this and it'll just like immediately show up, like boom. Oh, that wasn't as fast as I initially thought it would be. Yeah, that's more like it. I don't know why it took a little bit more time. Like this is more representative of what I was talking about. Like boom, it just shows up, and you can see that it was actually not like lit up. Yeah, like boom, it's more like that, and that's crazy, man. Well, guys, this was the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I talked a lot here. Hopefully you guys will have healthy discussions in the comments section. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. That was nice talking about these things, and see you next time. Bye bye.